pretty people, and welcome back to the Life in Pink podcast. I'm so happy you're here and tuned into this episode. Thank you for clicking on this podcast and listening to this episode. It means the absolute world to me. I hope you are happy wherever you are in your life right now, wherever you are. I hope you're enjoying yourselves and taking advantage of every opportunity that life throws at you. I hope you're enjoying all the little small moments of life and are just truly living life to your fullest. I'm currently recording this episode on October 30th. We are just coming off of Halloween weekend, and I had so much fun just getting dressed up in my costume and hanging out with my friends. It was such a good weekend, but I am fully ready and excited to just lock in and just get work done, get back on that grind, and do homework. I don't know, I feel like that's a strange sentence to say, but I'm ready to get back. I'm ready to get back into my schedule, my little routine. But I feel like that's a good thing. I think it's good to have that balance, that good work-life balance in your life. It doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be work or life. You need to have that balance, and I think having that balance is what makes us enjoy life more. You have things to look forward to, but you're still able to progress and achieve all of the goals that you have set for yourself. So as you can tell by the title of this episode, I am spilling my guts today. We are just going to chat. It's just going to be a very chill, very conversational based episode. I'm currently sitting in the corner of my room with my pumpkin blanket and my journal and the mic up in my face. And usually during this time, I really couldn't sleep. And so I usually take this time to kind of journal out my thoughts, whatever's like racing through my mind at the moment. But sitting down and journaling wasn't really sitting right with my heart today. It just didn't seem like the right thing to do. So instead I decided to pick up the mic. And as I'm sitting in the corner of my room and I have the mic up in my face and I'm recording, I fully believe that I made the correct choice. I'm so excited that I can share my thoughts here on this platform, and not everything has to be written down. And I do love journaling, and I've been able to write a lot of things down, all my thoughts out. I've been loving it. I also love being able to just speak out my thoughts, and this is already helping so much. So I'm so excited to get into this episode today. Before we get into it, since we are nearing the end of the month, tomorrow is October 31st, Halloween, but also the last day of the month, I figured we'd do a little recap, a little report. Now on TikTok, if you're on TikTok, you've been kind of seeing like this trend, maybe if you have, maybe you have not, but people doing like weekly reports and like saying like what's been going on in their week, and like each letter of report stands for something different. So I'm gonna do my own version of the report, but we're gonna do like a monthly report. So maybe not every podcast episode, but once a month we'll do like a little monthly report. So for our things I'm currently doing to relax, I have been rewatching Dance Moms for like the 50 millionth time, but I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite TV shows. I'm currently on season 5, I think episode 25, so we're like nearing the end of it. They currently just made it to LA. Abby is building her studio, so that's kind of like the stage in the show that I'm in right now. So I've been watching Dance Moms kind of in like my downtime to just chill out and relax when I'm like eating, or like if I'm cooking dinner or something. For E, things I'm doing to keep myself entertained, I've been spending a lot of time with my friends lately, whether that's going out to dinner or just hanging out at their apartments, meeting up in between classes. I've been spending a lot of time with my friends, and they are some of the funniest, best people I know, and it's always a good time when we're all together. So it's been very entertaining. Also, it was just Halloween weekend, so that was a full weekend of entertainment. For P, things that I purchased recently, my entire Halloween costume. Amazon orders have been coming to my apartment daily, just dropping off things that I needed for my costume. I spent over $200 on my Halloween costume. I know, but it was worth it. For O, things I'm currently obsessed over, I actually have to think about this. I think things I'm obsessing over recently have been my Spotify playlists. I've added quite a few more. If you don't follow me on Spotify, it's literally just Rye Sterling, and I've been loving my Spotify playlist. I've been bouncing back and forth between a few different ones. The current ones I'm listening to the most are my Soft Life playlist and the I Want My Life Back playlist. The I Want My Life Back playlist is kind of like old songs from like when I'm growing up, and like new songs I'm obsessed with, so it's like a good blend. And then like Soft Life is just really good, like chill, like study vibes. One of the songs I'm actually dancing to this semester is on there, so I love that playlist as well. But those are the two that I'm kind of like bouncing back and forth between. For the next are things that I recommend. Something that I actually did recently purchase, not a part of my Halloween costume, but a purchase prior to that, is the e.l.f. liquid like halo glow. It's not a foundation, I forget what it's called, but it's like I do not know what it's called. It's like the e.l.f. halo glow liquid something, I forget the correct name. It's so good. It's not a foundation, but it's more kind of like a glowy little like filter for your face. I don't really know how to explain that better than that, but I've been obsessed with that lately, and I 10 out of 10 recommend. It's on Amazon as well. It's actually cheaper on Amazon than it is from the actual e.l.f. website, so go check it out. It's in my storefront. You need it. It's so good. And then for tea, things I've been doing to treat myself. One, again, watching Dance Moms, but then also today I ordered IHOP from DoorDash. I got the double blueberry pancakes and it was delicious, and that is a treat. That was my treat for the day. So that's my monthly report, and now we can actually get into the purpose of this episode and just me talking about all the things that are on my mind and brain dumping. One of my good friends recently said something about perfectionism and how striving for perfection actually stops us from being able to reach it. And I felt like this was such an interesting take that I really, really resonate with. I think it is so true. And just looking at this podcast, for example, episode 1, I think we jumped right out of the gate with a pretty solid start. Like that was, episode 1 was a pretty solid start to this podcast. Now, yes, I can listen back at episode 1 and there's probably 1,000,001 different things that I would change about it, things that I would cut out, music I would change. There's so many things I would possibly change about episode 1. However, it did take me a month to edit episode 1, and I think I came out with a pretty solid start. And ever since then, because I worked so long at episode 1, and I drafted the promotions like for months and months and months, and I worked so hard on it, I think I kind of set this bar that was already pretty high for myself at that time. And so after that, I'm just continuously trying to strive to have that same level of perfection of what I deemed perfect at that time. And it's actually stopping me from able to just put out episodes. It's actually just stopping me from being able to just put out episodes because the editing process takes a little bit. Now, episode 2 didn't take too long to edit because it was only 10 minutes. But episode 1 took me a while to edit. It took me a month. And yes, this wasn't a month continuously working on editing this one episode for an entire month continuously. But it did take me a while just going back, editing out, listening to it over and over again, seeing what I wanted to change. And it took me a while, but it came out really, really good. But just because it took me that long to edit doesn't mean that it wouldn't have been as good or as effective if I had taken less time editing it. I don't know if that really makes sense, but I think our constant need to be perfect and start things off as perfect right out of the gate stops us from being able to grow. Because think about it, if you already are at the top, if you already come out and you're already at the highest level you can be, there's nowhere you can go but down. If you're already at the top and using a Dance Mom's reference, once you get to the top of the pyramid, it's even harder to stay there. Because the only place you can go when you're at the top is down. And, you know, Abby ate with that one. She really did eat with that one. Because that is so true. And I'm not saying that that episode is at the top or it was like the height of like the best episode I could produce. Of course not. Because episode 2 I feel like was better than episode 1 in terms of editing and the clarity of the message, I feel like it was better. But it didn't take us long to edit. And I think striving for perfection and wanting to have the perfect promos stops you from being able to actually produce episodes. Because think about it, we're only on episode 3. And I'm so proud of this podcast so far. I'm so proud of what I've been able to produce so far. But I would much rather have more episodes for you to listen to, record more episodes of me talking and speaking and emptying out my thoughts, than having the perfect promo and the perfect launch day. Because nothing's perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect. And if you strive for perfection, you're never going to reach it. So I think it's better to just start. Just start. Whatever it is. And we've talked about this before, but we're going to talk about it again. Whatever you're thinking about doing, whatever has been on your mind and on your heart to do, don't wait for it to be perfect to release it. Release it as is, because it allows you room to grow. And I think that's the most important thing, is seeing your growth over time. That's one of the most beautiful things you can witness, and I love witnessing other people's growth, including my own. But being able to see, especially the people that are close in your lives, like start something kind of like from the ground and then like build it up, and like you see how they grow and how they perfect their craft and how they get better and more passionate as they go on, like that is one of the most beautiful things you can witness. And you should want to witness it for yourself as well. So don't try to be perfect. You're not going to be, because nothing is perfect. Nobody's perfect but God. So it's best if you just release it, see what happens, and then get better over time. So that's what we're doing with this episode. In this episode, it's very chill, very casual. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I'm just going to empty my mind. I'm going to spill my guts, talk about all the things that have been like clouding my mind lately, that have been floating around in my head. And we're just going to chat. I'm sitting in the corner of my room. I have my little pumpkin blanket, my journal on my lap, mic in my hand, and we're going to chat, and we're going to see how this goes. And I'm going to try and record this all in one take with either no editing or very minimal editing. We're going to see what happens. So come with me on this ride. We'll see what we end up talking about. I'm sure I'm going to end up having some type of advice in here somewhere. But let's see what happens. So I've been trying a few new things lately. I've tried 2 main new things. And now I know in the last episode we talked about life and changing seasons and trying new things as the season changes. Season changes are literally the most perfect time to try something new, because you're approaching a new phase of life, you're approaching a new season, so it's time to switch things up and try something new. And so 2 new things that I want to discuss with you today are, 1, I started journaling. So one of the things I wanted to do as I moved into a new season was to start journaling, and I got this journal off of Amazon. And it's so cute. I have this pink journal. It has a little cover page where I put like my little picture on it. I put, "This journal belongs to Ryan Sterling." So cute. And on the journal, it's actually sitting in my lap right now, it says, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world," which is my favorite quote. And I didn't know that it said this on the journal until after I already clicked on it and I was going through the product pictures, because I had already decided once I saw it on the little like listing on Amazon. I saw this pink journal and I was like, yes, you're going to my cart. You are going to my cart. And then I looked at the product pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite quote. And I knew it was perfect. And it's a perfect little journal. And I've really, really thoroughly enjoyed writing down my thoughts on like actual like pen and paper. I'm a notes app girly. I'm a notes app girly, ride or die. I love my notes app. I have over 1,000 notes in there. And a lot of them are just me typing out whatever just pops in my head, whatever comes to my mind, whatever God places on my heart. It's just a big brain dump, my notes app. I love my notes app, but the way it holds so much storage on my phone, and I've really felt like a lot of these thoughts just need to be down on pen and paper, which is something so different about actually writing something out as opposed to typing it. It just feels more solid. It's just solidified. It feels more authentic. And just to go back and read my old entries and see how I was feeling in one moment and how that kind of like changed over time. It's really been a great and beautiful thing, and I absolutely love journaling. So if you've been thinking about journaling, if you want a place where you can write out your thoughts, if you're also a notes app girly, ride or die, you love your notes app, pick up a journal, buy a journal, try it out, try writing your thoughts out. I promise you is going to be life-changing. I love this thing. I carried it around with me in my backpack just in case I'm like out somewhere and I think of something, I want to write it down. Love my journal. Next thing that I tried is I went to an audio booth for the first time to try and record an episode in there, and it did not work out. It did not work out at all, and I can fully say and I can fully admit that I went in way over my head. But that's okay. That's okay, because at least I tried it. And I think the fact that I actually booked the room out, I took the initiative to book the room, I got up, I got dressed, I got ready, got on the bus, and I went to the audio booth, and I was fully ready to see if I could try and record an episode in there. I think it shows a lot. It shows commitment, and that I really wanted to try it, and I really wanted to put my best foot forward and give it my all. Unfortunately, it did not work out. The equipment in there were not at all compatible with what I was using and what like I needed to record the podcast on, but it was a decent experience for the most part. Also, the room wasn't like soundproof like all the way around. I could like hear the people in the booth next to me talking, and so when I went to just like record a quick like TikTok, you could fully hear their full conversation in the background. So recording in there really was not going to work, and it's okay. We gave it a shot, but I really do like this little setup I have right now in the corner of my room. It just feels really authentic. I'm currently wearing one of my Ruckus hoodies, sweatpants that I've had since like high school. I have my pumpkin blanket, as I said before, my journal on my lap, and my phone next to me, and the mic in my hand. And I feel like this is me. This is real. This is me. This is authentic. And this is really what life in pink is. And I love it. I'm glad that I tried it. I'm glad that I went to the audio booth to see what it was like. Didn't work out. And that's okay. Not everything you try is going to end up being something that's going to stick. But what's important is that you try it. Something else that's been on my mind lately is that no, I did not get Olivia Rodrigo tickets, and I'm so sad about it. I'm so sad about it because I really love the Guts album. I got my vinyl. I got the light pink vinyl, the Urban Outfitters exclusive vinyl, and I'm obsessed with it because it goes with my pink record player. So I have the pink vinyl and the pink record player, and like the pink drawers underneath my pink poster. It's so cute. This is fully life in pink in its full effect, and I would love to see Olivia Rodrigo on her Guts tour, but I did not win the Ticketmaster war. I did not even make it to the front line. I couldn't even get a pre-sale code, but it's okay. I think it all works out for the best, because once I saw how much the ticket prices actually were, and people were posting what they actually were once they were like in the queue, I could not justify paying that much for that concert. But it's okay. I will just enjoy watching all of the concert videos on TikTok and joining all the TikTok and Instagram lives and living vicariously through all the people that are there. But that's been something that's been on my mind lately, because I'm still a little salty that I could not even get a pre-sale code, and I know a lot of people didn't, but that really stung. That really stung. I feel like I'm kind of in like this weird phase of my life right now where I'm mourning past versions of myself while also trying to figure out the new me. It's a very strange feeling to have, and it's a very strange phase of life to be in, but I know I'm not alone in this. I feel like a lot of people said that yes, your 20s are for figuring out who you are, and you're gonna go through many like emotional changes, and I really do feel like since I turned 20, I don't know, I feel like when I was 19, I felt like I was so sure. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, what I was going for. And since I turned 20, it's just, I feel like my goals are definitely the same. It's just the way I view life and my perspectives and my outlook and just like my mood and attitude towards things have changed. And I think the mourning past versions of myself is not that past versions of myself were necessarily better than who I am now. I just think it's just that they were familiar. I know who they were. I know who I was last year. I know her. I experienced her. I was her. I know what that's like, and I'm comfortable with that because it's familiar. And I think because I'm in this phase where I'm trying to figure out who I am and trying new things, but also pursuing the same goals, but trying to pursue them and like from different avenues and different ways. It's just, there's a lot of moving pieces and I'm trying to figure it all out. And I think I'm mourning the past versions of myself because they were comfortable, because they were familiar, because I know who they were. And so now I'm trying to do new things and figure out who I am now. It's interesting because it's not yet familiar. It's not familiar yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. So I don't know. It's been an interesting phase. It's been interesting to try and navigate this all. But I think that's just life in your 20s. That's La Vie En Rose. It's gonna be life in your 20s, just trying to figure it out, but still looking at it from a positive outlook, and that I'm grateful that I'm not the same person I was a year ago, a few months ago, even 2 weeks ago. I'm consistently changing, and we're all consistently changing, and I think it's a good thing to also be aware of the changes around you and how they're affecting you. So many things are different now. There's so many moving parts. There's so many things that are changing. I'm in my junior year of college. People are starting to talk about what you're going to do after college, and it's a lot, but it's good changes, and it's good to sit back and think about how you're feeling and how you're navigating it all. But going back to what I was saying about how I've just kind of had a different outlook on life and a different way of viewing it, I think I'm seeing things a lot more black and white now. And I don't mean black and white in the sense that everything is monochrome and dull and there's no excitement or color. Absolutely not. If you've seen my room, it is quite the opposite. It is very pink. It is very vibrant. There is a lot of color in here. I mean more so black and white in the sense that I'm seeing things for what they are instead of what they can be or what they could be. Now, I'm not saying that looking at things as for the possibilities that come with them is a bad thing. I think that's a very good thing. It's very good to have that positive and excited outlook on life, and I do still have that, don't get me wrong, but I think consistently viewing things for their possibility instead of what they actually are, it's really bad for you. It's really bad for you in more ways than one, and this applies to so many different things, so many different areas of your life, and I'm not going to go into all of them. I'm sure you can take this and you probably already thought of something the second I started talking about it, so take that and think about it as I continue to talk about it. But taking things for what they are. Now, it's good to have hope and think about the possibilities, but also be very aware that usually things most of the time are exactly as they seem. So just take it for that. And I wasn't going to do this. I didn't plan on reading one of my journal entries on this episode today, even though I do have my journal in my lap. I didn't plan on reading one of the entries, but now that I'm talking about it, and now that it kind of came up, and I decided to talk about it, I figured I actually might just read one of the entries. So if you hear me flipping through some pages, that's me just flipping through my journal trying to find the specific topic that I just brought up, because I didn't think I was going to do this today, but here we are. This might be a very niche topic, so I'm going to try and broaden it. But when you're too close to something, you really aren't able to see the full picture of it. Binoculars work best from a few feet away. If you've ever used binoculars, you know what I'm talking about. If you stand far too close to the thing you're trying to look at, it often comes up blurry. It comes up really, really blurry, and you're not able to see it too good. You're too zoomed into the detail that you're not able to see the full thing. And so when you're too close to something and you're looking at the binoculars and you're standing too close to your subject, you might make excuses for why the picture is coming out a little blurry. But if you take a few feet back, if you take a few steps back and you're able to see the full picture, you're able to see it more clearly. And so you can't make an excuse for why it's blurry, because it's not. It's very, very clear. Unless you're like me and you need glasses to see far away. And so regardless, anything you look at, if you don't have your glasses on, it's going to be blurry. That's very niche. But but looking at this message, if you stand far away, and if you're like me and you have your glasses on, you're able to see things a lot more clearly as you're able to see the full picture. So therefore, it's quite black and white. What you see is what you're getting. And in fact, it's always been black and white. It's just that when you get, and this is the part from my journal, it's just that when you get a little too close, the black and white start to mix, and then you start seeing gray. If you want to see the full picture more clearly, take a step back. And so that can apply to so many different areas of your life. Whatever you thought of, whatever area you feel like you can apply it to, take it, apply it. I don't think I have to go into more detail than that. It's very much so up for interpretation. So I would love for you to apply it to where you best see fit. Recently, literally just the start of this month, I started posting on the Life in Pink podcast TikTok account. If you're not following it, it's lifeinpink.podcast, same as the Instagram username. But I've been posting on the TikTok just kind of like some of like the inspirational audios that I found and cute little aesthetic pictures, and I've been absolutely loving it, and it's actually been growing a lot. I love the little community over there. And one of my videos I posted, it was a recording of me once the first episode of my podcast went live. I recorded my like reaction to everything, and it got quite a lot of views and comments, and I appreciate every single comment and people supporting. It's so cool to also like connect with other people that are starting up with their podcast, and just being able to support each other. It's been so cute and so fun, and I've been absolutely insanely grateful. So if you're coming from TikTok and the Life in Pink podcast TikTok account, you probably don't know me too well, but hello, my name is Ryan, or as most people call me, Rye, and welcome to this little Life in Pink podcast family. I'm so happy and excited that you're here. But also, speaking of TikTok, something that's been on my mind a lot lately is the state of my For You page. And if you're anything like me, and at one point in your life you felt like you hit rock bottom and it was the end of the world, and you were just in this really, really hard place, but now you got out of it, and now you've made it your life's mission to, one, not feel that way ever again, but also to help other people to not feel that way. This might be very, very, very niche, but your For You page probably looks a lot like mine, and that it's a lot of self-help and self-love and like motivation and videos like those, and I absolutely love them. I love those kind of videos. I love self-help. I love life advice, hence this podcast. But I've been seeing a lot of videos on my For You page where it's like 3 things to stop doing so you can be happy again, or 5 things you need to avoid in your 20s, and just like looking at things that's like a list of things to like check off in order to achieve something like happiness or sustainability or, you know, success. And not saying that these videos are bad or that they're wrong per se. A lot of their tips and advice are great advice and tips to have, and things I would also like to incorporate and talk about in this podcast. But a lot of these people are talking about like healing as if it's like an era, as if it's a list of things you need to check off in order to become quote unquote better, which it is not in any way, shape, or form. And I want to talk about that for a second, because it's been on my heart and it's on my mind a lot lately, and that your healing era should not be an era. And you can't see me right now, but I'm doing like the quotation marks when I say era. Healing should be a continuous thing. You're constantly doing things and discovering new things about yourself that might not be beneficial to you and might not be beneficial to your growth. And so you constantly kind of have to like rework your mind, your mindset, and the way you go about life in order to fully live your life and optimize all the opportunities that you've been given and blessed with, but also kind of like move forward and have a positive outlook on life. Your healing era, again, quotation marks, should not be an era. It should be a continuous journey. And a lot of people look at their healing era, they're like, oh yeah, I had my healing era this month. Okay, that's all fine and well, but what are you doing for the other 335 days of the year? If your quote-unquote healing era, the working on yourself, the self-love era, is only a month, then what's going on? Like, what are you doing for the rest of the year? And so that's what I mean when I say your healing should not just be an era. You shouldn't look at it as like a list of things to check off until you're better. I think it should be a constant revisit, because the things that hurt you in the past, the things that bother you, the things that you've overcome, once you've overcome them, that doesn't mean that they go away. It does not mean that they go away. You just have to continuously, you just might not have them as prominent in your life anymore, but you do still need to look back and make sure you're not repeating the same patterns to make yourself feel that way. So that's been something that's been on my mind, and I don't dislike these videos. In fact, I do save a lot of them because I think they're great tips and things I would love to discuss on here. But your healing era should not just be some checklist or some month-long self-love journey. It should be a continuous process, and that every day you are trying to better yourself and become a better version of yourself. And some days are going to be better than others. They're going to be easier than others. Some days are going to be harder than others, and that's okay. And that's all a part of life. Life is a journey. And so your healing era should not be a checklist. It should be a journey. And we can talk about this more in an episode where I actually talk about life in the healing process. But that's just a little thing that's been on my mind lately, and that these videos I feel like it's like the self-love and self-help girlies like version of like the get rich quick scheme. That's not how it works. That's not how happiness works. That's not how joy works. And so, yeah, that's just something that's been on my mind. I wanted to get that off my chest. I wanted to spill my guts about it. And now for closing remarks and the last few things that I've just been floating around in my head that I'm going to get off my chest. 1, my Halloween costume absolutely ate this year. Best costume. Nobody else had it, at least not from what I saw. And it was absolutely fun and clever and cute, and it was fantastic. Fully worth the $200+ I spent on it. I will be wearing it again in the future, so act surprised when you see it. Thank you. Social media is fake. Social media is so fake. Remember that these are people's highlight reels. Do not compare your typical, normal, regular life to people's edited and filtered versions of themselves. It is all fake. It is all just for funsies and highlight reels, so just have fun with it. And don't compare yourself to anybody else. Remember that once upon a time, you dreamed and prayed to be exactly where you are right now. So enjoy it, bask in it, fully soak it all in, and don't start thinking about the next thing and moving on to the next thing without fully enjoying where you are right now. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think those are the 3 things that were left floating in my head. Also, 4, the more I wear my glasses, the more I actually do love them on my face. So that's a good thing. Okay, that was very random. But those are the last few things that were floating around in my head. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and thank you so much for tuning in today. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm just trying new things, trying to figure out what's the best mode of, or the best way to record audios here. Do I like the long story times? Do I like the straight to the point advice? Do I like the little like chit chat chill vibe? This honestly I feel like was the most fun to record. I'm literally just dumping everything that's been on my brain at a very odd hour of the day. I'm just trying to figure it out. I loved recording this episode today and just getting everything off of my head and sitting in the corner of my room with my little blanket and my journal. It's been such a good time. I have no idea how long this episode is. If it's a long one, if it's a short one, I end up not recording it all in one go. I had to stop it a few times. So we'll see. I don't plan on doing many edits to it, so we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for listening to this recording. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Tune in. I plan on having a lot more episodes just like this. Chill, very minimal edits, just us chatting, so I can get more episodes out there without having to be perfect. Not everything has to be perfect. I'm going to leave you with that thought. Thank you so much again. I love you all, and I hope you have a pretty day. Bye.